Welcome, everybody, to the D2D podcast. We got a very special D2D-Con special today. That is our location, the Golden Door Deep Dive, continuing the series. We got Kayla Mooney with us, Golden Door winner, one of the last to trickle in. Kayla, how are you? How are you liking D2D-Con?
It's good. Honestly, I've made a lot of connections in the past few days. And I think that's the most beautiful part of this is the connections. Because last year, I really dove into all the workshops.
Yeah.
You know, it was my first year, and I was really, my vision really opened up last year of just, what's possible. And now, I spent a little more time getting to know people and networking this year, which has been it's just broadened my horizon so much. And I did catch a few speakers, which was good, but it's been beautiful, honestly.
I know, that's kind of half the reason, you come to D2D-Con is to, meet people that you wouldn't normally meet. It's funny, talking to, the pest guys, I'm like, dude, do you even know who Michael O'Donnell is? And they're like, no. And I'm like, how do you, what do you mean you don't know who he is? You benefit so much from that. Yeah, so it's really cool, cross industries, there's no recruiting, we're neutral ground, so love that you're benefiting from that. But, so Kayla, I really want to dive into your story. How did you get in the industry? What was your first year like? Let's dive in.
Yeah, so I got into the industry with Melissa Ramiza.
Shout out.
I was going to say shout out. Everyone knows who she is, right? So I actually met her online, became pretty good friends, and I just saw what she was doing on Snapchat. And I was like, what do you do, right? Yeah. And so kind of...
Her pictures are 12 kilowatt.
I was like, what's a kilowatt?
Tax guy. You're like,
what's a kilowatt, right? So I hit her up, and she's like, yeah, I do door-to-door. I sell solar, and I went to school for biology. I've installed solar systems, so I had that little bit of curiosity. And, of course, you know how it goes. She was like, yeah, I make this much money. I was like, BS.
Excuse me?
No way. How old are you? 28 years old? And I was like, prove it. So I went, met the team, got into it, and I realized, money aside, but just the culture, the environment, the people that were there, and the things that they were doing to really affect people around them. And, that's been what I've always wanted to do, is do something big, because a lot of people don't have an impact into their society and do things that are huge. And that's really, my vision for going to school was I want to learn how everything works and be able to make an impact where I can leave a legacy, right? Yeah. And so I saw that, and I was like, this could be a really good vehicle to be able to create a team and elevate everybody around me and really bring everybody up. And that was it was huge. I was like, these people just want everyone to succeed. And, they're helping people along the way. They're helping people save money. And it was so intriguing to me. And I was a preschool teacher before.
Oh, nice.
So I taught. Right, and I taught young kids to make things super simple and clear, and I was like, I could teach people about solar, right? So I was like, you know what? I'm making $19 an hour. I was happy with where I was at, but it wasn't a vehicle to get me to the ultimate freedom that I wanted. Yeah. So I was like, if I go and I give it my all, she's like, knock 100 doors, you can find success. If not, go back to what you're doing. And I was like, is it worth the risk? Absolutely. If this doesn't work out, then I go back to what I was doing, and I learned something about myself. Yeah. And if I succeed, I could change my life. So I took the 30 days, banged on 100 doors, attached myself to her, emulated what she did. I got 12 sales within my first 2 weeks. Wow. And she was like, okay, you should move up into closing. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And I was terrified. I was like, what if I fail, and all that. Yeah, of course. And I went into closing, and I killed it. And I started inviting my friends in and really building a group of people around me that were my best friends and really elevating their lives. And it was wild. Yeah. It's been a wild ride, but yeah, my first year, I started in May 2022. And then I worked, and I closed, I would say close to 150 deals. I made about 350 grand my first year in solar, and completely changed my life. Bought my first house, and it's been a wild ride, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like that. I mean, here you have your preschool job, and I think a key part of that is you were kind of happy and comfortable before, but you wanted to take that chance. Yeah. And that's so huge for people, because we find so much complacency and comfort. What really motivated you to want to break out of that?
So I guess for me, I've always been that person, like, even before the preschool, like, I did a lot of, like, work from home. I did TESOL, and that was, like, I had the freedom, right? And it was all about freedom. That's it. I love to travel. I've traveled since I was 15 years old, like, and that's my ultimate goal, is to be able to travel and have that freedom to do what I love. And I didn't have that, you know? And I was like, this could give me what I want, which is that freedom of time. You know, to be able to go out and, like, travel and try good food and, like, have experiences in life and make memories, right? So that's really, like, what I wanted, and I was like, I'll try it, and if it works, like, that's what I'll work towards, you know?
And it's crazy because it's like, you can't have that kind of freedom $19 an hour. Like,
you're
as hard as you
right?
try, when push comes to shove, really. And it's awesome to see people, like, willing to take that risk. A lot of people do take the risk, and it doesn't work out. Why do you think it doesn't work out for them?
There's a lot of reasons, honestly. The biggest one that I would see is just the work that they put in, like the hard work, and hard work, right? Going out and knocking doors. It's scary. You get a lot of rejection. There, you go through a lot of mental loops when you have hard days, and a lot of people can't keep that even keel through the hard days and just keep pushing and have the belief in themselves. They get into that spiral of, like, you know, that guy just yelled at me, like, I didn't get anything in the past 3 days, like, maybe I'm not good at this, maybe I should go back, and they have this, like, unwavering, like, negativity, and they start going down versus, you know what, I'm gonna take the same opportunity, what can I do better? That positive outlook, find solutions. And I see a lot of people, they like, okay, I'm gonna make excuses because I didn't do good, and they want to protect themselves from that failure and that fear. And, like, at the end of the day, I'm just like, embrace that shit. Like, embrace it and learn about yourself. But there's also, on the other hand, some people are just not good at it. Like, they're just not made for it. And that's why I tell people, like, come in and try it. And, like, some people, they don't have the social skills and they're not willing to learn. If you're willing to learn, I think even some people that might not have that skill set, they could learn. But I would just say the hard work.
You gotta have the desire.
Yeah, and that perseverance, and, like, being able to self-motivate. That's another huge one, because I don't micromanage them. You're 1099. You do what you want. You make your own schedule, right? And so a lot of people are so used to being told what to do, when to be there. If you're not here, you're reprimanded. You have to take the accountability yourself and be the one that's like, I don't have to be there, but I want to be there. I get to be there, and I'm going on the doors. You know, and it's hard to really have that, like, self-motivation, right? It's easy to be like, wake up, I don't have to go to work today. I could just chill and play video games. And most people just do that. It's easier.
Yeah, it's so much more comfortable to take that easy path.
Yes.
Yeah, if you can decisively do that discomfort, though, it pays massive dividends in the future. Which is awesome. So I want to dive into your Golden Door story. So you started in May of 22, and now fast forward, actually rewind the clock to a year ago, January 2023. I don't know when you decided officially, like, I'm going to be a Golden Door winner, but what was that process? What was your path to get a Golden Door?
So obviously Melissa has told me about it. She saw my success and was like, you can do this. Here's a path for you, right? She helped me really create that roadmap. And really, it's a numbers game. You figure out what you need to do, you map it out, you make sure you're pacing. If not, you bust your ass to get there, right? But for me, it was setting myself up for the months prior to January, because I was like, we need to have a big January, a big February. It's just like a race. You start off out front, you have that lead the whole way. Okay, so I think it was October, it was one of the, I think September or October, I had a month of 23 sales. And at the time, my company was taking like 4, 5, 6 months to install systems, so I still had deals that were from January and July that were going in, but I made sure those 3 months prior to January, I had big months, 18 deals, 20, 23 deals, 15 deals, so that when I walked in, I had 60 deals set up. Let alone the ones that weren't, were getting installed from July, August, So really it's just that preparation. Because it's like, oh, I can come in right now. It's January. If you want to get a Golden Door, it's going to be a little more difficult because what's your average install time? So that means between like maybe February, March, and December, you have to get installs, which means you only get to November, maybe October, because it takes 2 months to install. So you really have to like create that roadmap and understand how the system works, right?
Absolutely. And I think that is the biggest hack to getting a golden door for the year is, like you said, like setting it up beforehand, realizing like give yourself that 2-month window, because if you have the goal, and if you set your goal in January that I'm going to hit a golden door, you're setting yourself up for a lot more work to be done, because it's like if you do the prep work beforehand, it's not that you can't do it. Yeah. You can totally do it.
I think everybody can do it.
It's just like that prep work beforehand, though, it just takes you ahead, and that momentum carries over. So I absolutely love that. So what about like kind of the more like mental battles, staying consistent, things like that?
Yeah, so I think that's a big portion of door-to-door is the consistency. And I've been through a lot of hard shit. Shit in my life, and what I've realized is that you can work through those things, but no matter what, you're going to end up past it. And you choose how to handle that. If you want to let it bring you down and follow that, you can do that. Totally. But it's like you get the hard things, and I decided to keep an even keel and look for solutions, right? And a lot of people see those hard things and they just start falling down that hole. And those hard things, like, they can make you or break you, and you get to choose. Yeah. And so for me, like, I've been through something hard and decided to be reactive, right? And emotional. Like, oh, this is the worst thing. Like, this is going to ruin everything. And having that expectation versus, like, this is what happened. It is what it is. Yeah. I can choose to either see the positive or see the negative. I can learn from it or let it kill me, right? And so really, like, learning to... I think problem solving is one of the biggest things that got me through the year. Was like, yeah, shit was hard. Things happen. I switched companies in the middle of the year. I took 2 months off. My brother got in the accident. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? This is where I'm at. I make the best of it. And I figure out a way to have that situation make me better. Yeah. And that's really, I feel like, what pushes me through is just problem solving. What's the situation, and find as many solutions as I can to that problem, and then narrow it down to the most efficient. Absolutely. That's really my mindset about like everything. And
it's so cool. And well, what's awesome about that, that's really just sales, isn't it? It's like sales is just nothing but problem solving. And
that's what we do. We're master problem solvers.
Absolutely. Right? It's like you can't close someone unless you're solving a problem, in my opinion. So it's so cool to see like how that carries over, not even in just sales, but in life as well. Yeah. Do you have any other like life lessons that the doors have brought you?
Just stay consistent. Like, that consistency is what's gonna build. Like, everyone says 1%. Do that 1% thing. And I do that every day. Like, since I was young, I was like fucking 12 years old, sorry. And I was like, I need to choose to do something that makes me better every day. I wanna learn something every day, even if it's something little, where I feel like gratitude, like, oh, I got better today. Yeah. And that's what's like, okay, you look 5 years from now, and those little tiny things add up and make you feel confident, they make you feel good, and they make you feel happy, and they make you successful. Yeah. And a lot of the people are like, oh, okay, I'll go to the gym once a week. Right? That's not gonna bring you anywhere. Yeah. You need to do that every day, and something simple. I make my bed every morning. Totally. Right? They say if you do that, you see instant success as soon as you wake up. Because you know what? You know that you should do that. Everyone thinks about it, but they don't do it. And that's one of the easiest things to release dopamine to feel successful. Yeah. You come back to something that's organized, clean, right? Something simple. So that little 1% thing, I start my day with that every day. Yeah. So, I mean...
And it's, kind of like the compound effect. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's like you have that going, and you have it going long enough, that takes effect. Because if I go to the gym once a week for 1 week, and then I go twice a week the next week, and then maybe once the next week, it's like I lose the magic of the compound effect because that consistency is not there.
It's not there.
It's almost like I wasted my time in a way. Like,
yep. And I don't think yourself.
I don't think you're quite wasting your time, because it's always going to be beneficial.
Yeah, it's beneficial.
But the magic of the compound effect isn't quite there. So, If you're open to it, I'd like to kind of dive into. I know you had some hard things during the year, and that's kind of always the like. Everyone always has an excuse, and crap always hits the fan. What's your real like trick to helping navigate that? I know we kind of talked about like problem solutions and whatnot, but like it's especially like those really tough external things that happen that we cannot control. What would you say for that?
And the key word of what I hear is what you cannot control. And you need to let go of what you cannot control and focus on what you can control. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Like, you can look at all these things and get mad about these things or let it bring you down, but you can't control them. You can only control how you react to them and your view on how you see that and how you let it affect your life. I had the hardest year of my entire life last year. Hardest year. I could dive into it, but we're not going to go there, right? But it was literally the hardest year of my life, and I still hit my goals because it was a non-negotiable. And that's something I learned in Door to Door is create those non-negotiables. And if you don't, say you're like, oh, it's non-negotiable, I'm going to go to the gym, and then you let it down. You can't even trust yourself. Yeah. You know, and so like that non-negotiable thing, that's really what I did was like, I'm doing this, and if not, I'm dying trying to hit my goals. If I give it my all, then that is what it is, right? But sorry, I had something else to say. I was trying to think. All right, what was the question?
I guess just navigating through like external non-controllables and whatnot, and especially like, you know, push like going like and hitting your goals during that too.
Yeah.
Because crap will hit the fan. People are like, oh, see a goal. Yeah. It's the first thing to go.
I don't know. I think I'm just aware of like the fact that you can make an excuse, but I don't like to let myself down. Yeah. I don't want to use an excuse and just be like, well, I don't need to do the things that I said I'm gonna do because I don't have to. Like, and I don't want to make excuses. That's just who I am. I feel like if you make excuses, you're forming yourself and your identity and like your self-belief, and that's hard. At the end of the day, I have to be okay with myself before anything. Mm-hmm. And so that means holding my word to myself so that I can trust myself and believe in myself. So when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and that helps build my confidence and my happiness.
Totally.
So just being, to me, I don't need excuses. Like, do they cross my mind? Yeah. Like, they still do, but I'm like, I'm going to choose the right thing. Yeah. You know, because I've chosen in the past to use excuses, and it's disappointing, and I disappoint myself, and then I'm like, and I'm down, and I'm like, man, like, you just have disbelief in yourself, and I've just chose like to love myself enough to put that time in and really like build the person that I want to be the best version of myself that I can be.
Totally.
You know?
Totally. And I think that's absolutely beautiful, and I appreciate you sharing all of that. Yeah. So now kind of diving in a little bit to like the sales tactic side of it. Mm-hmm. You're in Colorado, right?
Yes, Denver.
So Colorado, Denver, big Denver, shout out. So, and then you work mostly as a closer, correct? You do a lot of door knocking too and whatnot. So
now I do. I was doing a lot more self-gens back in the day. My focus is more on building now, so I'm more out with the guys and try to get them successful. I feel like it's selfish for me to go out. Totally. Like at the end of the day, like it's a struggle that I've had is being like, yes, I can make more money going to self-gen and hit my goals faster, but I think it's selfish because I have such a high closing ratio and a high retention rate. And so I have a lot of value that I can supply to my guys to help them come up. Now, I could just say, I don't need to do that, right? But I chose not to because I want to be able to elevate these guys too. So yes, I'm probably going to end up taking a lot more setter deals this year than self-genning.
Totally. And I think that's honorable too, because it's like you said, you're doing it for your guys to help them. It's like, I want less cancels for them. I want less things to them because I know I can provide that value to the homeowner and to my setters, which honestly in turn is going to retain your guys.
Yeah, and I just want to affect as many people as I can because I see the opportunity, and I'm like, it's lonely at the top by yourself. I've been there. It's lonely at the top, and you're like, yeah, I made it, but like, I don't have anybody to share it with.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and that's not where I want to be. Like, I want to be the one that's up, and everybody's up, and I have a strong team, and it's family-like, and it's like, that's to me more important than going out and selling more. It really is. Like, I would rather, I have a huge heart, right? and like I love seeing everybody around me like build their life and go through life with them and see like their successes, and it's just beautiful. Like, because I came from a very, very humble beginning. And so like to be able to see like and hear people's stories, like I brought a guy here from Vermont, and he told me, you know, his mom's living in a car and he's struggling and he's dealing with like depression because he feels like he's going nowhere. And he came out here, he texted me after he left. He came here yesterday, met the guys, went to the after party. Yeah. He looked like a little kid like in a candy store, and he texted me and was like, I had the best weekend of my life.
Yeah.
And it wanted to make me cry because I'm just like, dude, like he hasn't seen that. He hasn't seen people accept him and teach him and want him to grow.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just want that. Like, you know?
100%.
It's so wild what this industry can do.
I love that.
It's so nuts.
That's awesome.
Like,
I love that so much.
It's crazy.
So obviously you close at a very high rate. What closing tips and tricks do you have? Like, and how do you have such high retention too?
Yeah. So I would say I build a lot of rapport. I'm very witty, like I'm very funny, and I use that to my benefit. Like I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
Like I have a lot of fun. Other than that, like I pre-frame very well. So kind of the same thing as Melissa, where it's like, hey man, just bringing in the concept. Like you, at the end of this, you are gonna make a decision today. You know, it's one of three things is going to happen. One, you're going to recommit to the utility company because you feel like they're your best bet financially. And that's totally fine. It's your money. I got solar on my house. You don't have to do this, right? Two, you're going to decide, hey, it makes sense, and put in the application. And unfortunately, it's the worst boat to be put in, but Excel can deny you, right? Third, which is where I want to get you to, is Excel approves it, the city approves it, then we put the solar on the house. So pre-framing to them that in reality, they can say no to solar, but they're saying yes to something. And I think when people realize, because like people are like, I'm not interested in solar. It's like, I'm sorry to break it to you, but like you're going solar regardless. It's on your bill. We're being, you know, mandated by the government to do that. So I just want to make it clear that you are going solar. It's just your choice now. Do you want to rent it from the utility company and pay more, or would you like to own it and get some benefits and pay a lot less? Now it is your choice again, and if you choose that this is the best fit, I'll help you walk through the process. And that in itself, you know, I think really sets that bar to be like, okay, because a lot of people are like, I'm saying no to solar, but they don't realize what they're saying yes to. Because you are saying yes to something, right? You can't say no and shut off your lights. So that pre-framing. Other than that, like I like to take the emotion out of it. A lot of people play off emotion.
Okay.
I don't. I will build a little bit of pain, but other than that, I'm a numbers person. My brain is very logical.
Okay.
So I'm like, hey man, we're gonna take the emotion out of this, you know, like feelings aside, let's just look at the numbers, because my job is to put you in the best financial situation possible. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to break down the numbers, apples to apples, and you're going to, you know, you can tell me at the end what you feel like is best for you and your family. And I
Makes
also,
sense.
and I try not to sound like a salesperson. Like when I'm going through it, I make it really simple. Like when you sound like a robotic salesperson and you're just doing your pitch, they don't want to buy. People don't want to be sold. So I make it pretty simple. Like, yeah, the panels go on the roof. They produce all the energy. They're going to convert it to use it, instead of being like, you know, I try to make it very, very simple and not like salesy, I guess. Like, you know.
Exactly. Well, like you said, I mean, you just break it down very simply, like so that they understand it. I think a lot of times us as salespeople, we just like go through the process because maybe we're nervous or whatever that might look like.
Yeah.
And then it's like, if they truly don't understand it, then they're not going to make, you know, they're not going to say yes if they don't get it.
A confused mind always says no, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And that is very true. But I have the kind of one-up because I was a preschool teacher.
Yeah,
so
which is so
literally
cool. I mean, thinking about it like that, it's like if I can explain math to a little kid, you got to be able to break it down to like, how do I explain solar to a 10-year-old?
Literally. And I tell my guys that, like, don't treat him like a child, right? Like,
of course.
Don't treat him like a child.
Oh my goodness, get your solar panel.
Or some people will try to, like, they'll talk and they sound like they're talking to someone like, hey, you're an idiot. Like, no, they're adults, but break it down in the least amount of words possible, the most simple way possible, so a 3-year-old could understand it.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, because solar's simple, you're literally just renting your solar versus owning it. It's very simple.
Yeah.
And then it's just show the numbers, right? And become their friend. Like, honestly, I build a ton of rapport where I'm like, I actually am curious, like, what do you guys do? you know, because I love hearing stories.
Yeah.
And I can learn something. Sometimes people tell me things, and I'll spend half my close talking about nothing to do with solar.
Yeah.
Literally, just building rapport. And then they see I'm like, damn, this is a real person. She's actually like curious. She's listening. She's asking questions.
Yeah.
And then instead of being like, oh, this is a salesperson, all they're talking about is solar, shoving it down my throat. Why?
Yeah.
You know? So just be genuine. Like, actually care about the people that you're sitting with. Don't go in there and look at them as a dollar sign.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you're not going to succeed. They can see through that shit. People can.
100%.
You know? So...
100%. Well, Kayla, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, dude.
This has been the nugget filled the whole time. So.